Catherine Full Body is a 2019 puzzle game developed by Atlus, expanded from the original Catherine in 2012, that has finally made it onto a Nintendo console in 2020. I've been waiting to try this game for years now, ever since I saw it reviewed by The Completionist many years ago. And now I've got my chance! Was it worth the wait? Let's find out. But first, before we begin, a warning that this game is M-rated, and so there's some sexy. If you've got young kids in the room with you, you may want to tell them to get the heck out. Alright, good? They out? Now let's get to it. Catherine Full Body follows the story of your character, Vincent, and his increasingly complex relationship with his girlfriend, Catherine. She's ready to settle down and get married, but Vincent, not so much. Along comes Catherine, with a C, offering him a chance at continuing on with a life of chaos and fun. She's wicked hot, flirty as hell, great in bed, and even though Vincent is not the most willing participant, he can't help himself to a second helping. The game primarily plays as a visual novel where you're given plenty of choices that alter the story and the ending. In between, though, is a block-based puzzle game that gives you something challenging to do in order to progress. Let's talk about the puzzle game first. It takes place in your nightmares while you sleep. A tower of blocks to climb, but you'll need to push and pull them to form a path to make it all the way to the top. As you get further along, new block types such as brittle blocks and trampoline blocks turn the simple path making into a wholly different experience. You can undo moves if you run into trouble, and oh boy, the game will remind you of this constantly.
On normal difficulty, you can undo moves if you need to fix a mistake. If you can't find a way forward, you may wish to undo and try a new strategy. If you're stuck, it may be best to try and undo your moves.
Undo.
The puzzle game is pretty unique and will offer you a challenge probably unlike any that you've played. But it does get repetitive, and while the block diversity helps, you'll find the game was more fun when you had the regular blocks to worry about and not the bombs. Ugh. The difficulty is uneven as well. With trial and error and unlimited lives, you'll eventually get through everything thrown at you. But for some reason, in the 7th level only, I needed help online multiple times. Some of the easiest times I had were in the final level, which is odd, but you won't catch me complaining. By the end, I was so sick of the blocks, I just wanted it to be over. The levels have breaks in between where you can talk to various sheep who occasionally give you climbing tips. You'll also be asked some deep questions that, depending on how you answer, will change your chaos meter and will ultimately influence what kind of ending you get in the game. You can probably guess which of the two answers is right or wrong, but you'll never be able to predict the impact it has, so just answer them however you see fit. For example, I decided to answer as the biggest jerk imaginable just for fun. Wait, am I a big jerk? Or am I just pretending? Oh. It made me feel kind of dirty, and it got me a bad ending, so I got what I had coming. Who knew saying I was more interested in looks than personality would come back to bite me? Aside from the puzzle game, Catherine is a visual novel with a few activities that you can do in an in-game pizzeria, the Stray Sheep. Here, you can play an arcade machine, change the game's music, text with Catherine, your girlfriend, and talk to various characters who are all fairly interesting. I did find this part mostly boring, though. The arcade game is just another version of the core gameplay, and most of the conversations have no effect on anything. These sequences start after each level, and pretty quickly I just started getting up from my table and walking out the door right away. One very important tip I can give you, and this is very important, is go to the bathroom and into the stall. There you'll find x-ray glasses that will strip every character in the game down to their underwear. I played over half the game like this, and it made me enjoy interacting with my favorite character, Erica, even more. I just love the way she leans over when she talks to you. Anyway, the story is obviously very mature and hits on very adult themes, but in some ways it also feels like it was written by a 14-year-old, forcing your character to act in a way that's contradictory to how you, the gamer, logically would. And it can also drone on for quite a while. Several times my screen would dim because I had been sitting there for so long watching these story sequences. Vincent is a bit too dumb for his own good as well, but he does get some good character development later in the game, and overall the story was interesting to watch unfold, even if the individual interactions could be pretty painful to sit through. So what did I think about the game overall? Well, the game has 13 possible endings, and my ending was a bad one. I think this is a game you'd prefer to play through at least a couple of times just to see how the story can change. The problem is that the puzzle sequences get repetitive and boring not even halfway through the game, and they have no bearing on the story anyway. If you play on safety mode, or if you have earned a gold trophy on a puzzle previously, you can skip those levels. I can tell you that I got a bronze trophy on every single puzzle level, so getting gold is a little tricky. Then there's the main storyline, which is largely the same each time, with only the endings changing. What that means is multiple playthroughs will get boring fast. You can skip these sequences as well, but you'll be doing it a lot, and they're broken up into smaller bites. Now, the good news is that you can get a decent variety of endings simply by changing your answers in the final level alone. Save your game when the level starts, and come back to it multiple times, and answer the 3 questions you get differently to see what happens. This will get you many results while only having to replay the single level. To get all the endings, you'll need to use a guide and be skipping or replaying the same scenes and puzzles for hours, and the monotony of it all, it isn't worth it. If you're curious to see all the endings, I can't see why you just wouldn't go on YouTube. And if it's the console achievements you're looking to unlock, well, that's the whole thing altogether. Catherine straddles that line between what I consider to be a good game and a bad game. I can't say I enjoyed any individual aspect of the game. The puzzles were boring, the dialogue was boring, the arcade machine was boring. The only thing I really enjoyed were the cutscenes and the major story progression. But it's not enough to give the game a ringing endorsement. And as I said with the endings, I'm curious to see what else is there, but I highly doubt I'd play the game through again. On the other hand, if you're a completionist, which I happen to be, there is fun to be had trying to get gold trophies for all the puzzles, as ridiculously hard as that would be, playing the extra puzzle challenges, exhausting all the conversations in the pizzeria that you can, and of course unlocking all the endings. There's a lot of extra stuff to do. It's one of those games that might be more fun to complete than to beat in the first place. Does that make sense? You'll love Catherine, or you'll hate it. It's just that it's such a unique game, there's no telling which it'll be for you. Rest assured though, the game is polished and done well. Not too long, about 10 to 15 hours for one playthrough, and regardless if you liked it or not, you'll walk away from it with a story that will stick with you for a long while. Give it a try. Maybe when it goes on sale. But then yeah, give it a try. Like this review? Hear more from me, John Blanco, and my co-host Drew on the Dads After Dark show, a part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. You can find us on your favorite podcasting app, as well as on YouTube, on the Nintendo Dads channel. Thanks again for watching.